How good are the current Brooklyn Nets? The Brooklyn Nets were already expected to be successful this season, but the acquisition of James Harden from the Houston Rockets has made them the favorites to win the NBA title. In this video, we access just how good the current Brooklyn Nets team is and if they really got what it takes to sweep the league aside. But before we begin, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, kindly do that so you can continue enjoying our amazing videos. Please give us a like, share the video, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell for timely updates to our latest episodes. So, combining Harden with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving seems almost unfair as they are three of the most electric offensive talents in the NBA. However, it hasn't always been smooth sailing for Steve Nash's side, who are trying to make up for their defensive frailties by outscoring their opponents. Kevin Durant has been the Brooklyn Nets' main man in the early stages of the season with his MVP caliber level. The forward is averaging 29.5 points, his highest since MVP season in 2013 to 2014. He is also shooting at a higher percentage, draining almost 45% from behind the arc. Durant was expected back in time to face his former side, the Golden State Warriors, after being sidelined with COVID-19 protocols. Every super team is a work of excess, but none quite so much as the newly refashioned Brooklyn Nets. As if it weren't enough for one team to have two undeniable shot creators in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, the Nets quickly sought out a third, James Harden, whose dominant play in style and production drove the Rockets to contention and carried a top-flight offense for the better part of a decade. Few teams in NBA history ever have been so lucky as to concern themselves with what first-year head coach Steve Nash and his staff will now navigate in Brooklyn. Harden, for one, is among the highest usage players in NBA history, a conceptual standout even in an era where teams have been increasingly willing to funnel their entire operation through a single star player. Durant is himself a limitless scorer worthy of taking as many shots as he likes, and Irving always has been most engaged and dynamic when he could feel the ball in his hands. It's time for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to play alongside one another in NBA games that count. Nets fans got a taste of what Brooklyn's dynamic duo can do in their preseason wins over the Washington Wizards and Boston Celtics, but neither Durant nor Irving played the amount of money they're expected to on a nightly basis. Not to mention, both players hadn't played in an NBA game for an extended period of time before the preseason, so there's still more to come. Kyrie Irving is shooting at a career-high rate and, since moving to Brooklyn, has shown he can be a prolific scorer as well as a provider. Irving is also averaging career-high points with 27.9, although he just misses out on getting an A+, given his recent fines from the league and the fact the Brooklyn Nets may be worried he leaves the team again. There were worries when James Harden was traded to the Brooklyn Nets about how he would be able to fit in with the two ball-dominant teammates. However, Harden's team-first attitude has seen him shoot less, averaging 7 shots fewer than last season, and is averaging 11.3 assists per game, a career best for the guard. Another crucial player is Joe Harris. In the role Joe Harris plays for the Brooklyn Nets, he is excelling. Harris has long been known as a prolific three-point scorer and is currently averaging 48.9% from beyond the arc. While he sees less of the ball, Harris continues to be crucial to the Nets in the long run, and particularly in the playoffs when they will need a clutch-time scorer apart from the trio of Durant, Irving, and Harden. Then there is DeAndre Jordan. The fact that DeAndre Jordan was set to be the Brooklyn Nets' backup center this year to Jarrett Allen, yet is now the starting big man, speaks volumes of where Brooklyn may look to improve in the near future. Jordan provides efficient scoring, though he is averaging 3 fewer rebounds per game than last season on similar minutes. His age is also a worry for Coach Nash and is likely not his first-choice center to go into the offseason with. Another reliable player on the Nets roster is Jeff Green. Jeff Green is proving to be the veteran the Brooklyn Nets brought him in to be and will prove pivotal on and off the court throughout the season. The fact that the Nets got Green for so cheap is a steal when the forward averaging 9.1 points while shooting a career-high 41.8% from the three-point line. Greens can play on the wing or a small ball 5 for the Nets. Bruce Brown Jr. is another player the Nets are relying on. Being a backup guard to Kyrie Irving and James Harden would be difficult for most players, and Bruce Brown is yet to establish himself as a legitimate bench option for the Nets. The third-year guard is shooting far more efficiently when he does see the floor, but lacks the creativity that can be relied upon. For a guard, however, Brown is a great rebounder and is turning the ball over less than once per game. Then there is Landry Shamet, another of the Brooklyn Nets rotation options yet to establish himself as a legitimate sixth man. Shamet is shooting at a career low rate, which is particularly worrying when you consider that he has been a reliable knockdown shooter from the three-point line in the past. Brooklyn attempted to offload the 23-year-old in the Harden deal instead of Allen, though the franchise had no takers. The Brooklyn Nets tend to keep their big three together, as they should, and it's going to cost them. James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving are eligible to opt out of their current contracts and become free agents following the 2021-2022 season. However, the trio is extension eligible starting in August. "We're definitely committed to these guys," Brooklyn GM Sean Marks said back in January. How the Nets fare in the playoffs will obviously factor into the equation, but if Harden, 3 years, $161.1 million, Durant, 4 years, $192.5 million, and Irving, 4 years, $181.6 million, each tack on maximum multi-year extensions, they will cost a projected $704.3 million combined over the next 5 seasons, according to salary data. Under this scenario, Harden, age 36, Durant, 37, and Irving, 34, would all take more than $50 million in the last year of their respective deals, 2025 to 26. The Nets will have to weigh a number of factors, and Director of Salary Management Andrew Baker, as well as several other mathematically inclined front office staffers, will have to go over the numbers. There are other possible iterations of deals that could be done. The Houston Rockets, who have several of Brooklyn's future first-round picks and swaps, made a long-term bet that the Nets won't be able to sustain their success. This season would mark the Big Three's first full year together. The trio of future Hall of Famers played just 8 games together during the regular season. Whether it's good for the NBA to make teams stack the deck like it is a discussion for another time, but what's for certain now is the fact that the 2020-2021 Nets are making history with their star-studded roster. With the addition of Aldridge, Brooklyn now has an astounding 5 players with at least 6 All-Star appearances under their belt in Aldridge, 7-time All-Star, Kevin Durant, 11-time All-Star, James Harden, 9-time All-Star, Kyrie Irving, 7-time All-Star, and Blake Griffin, 6-time All-Star. That makes the Nets just the second team ever with a roster boasting 5 players with 6+ All-Star appearances. The first team to do that was the 2010-2011 Boston Celtics, who we'll talk about more in just a bit. Even if you factor in that Aldridge and Griffin are no longer players they were in their primes, it's still a ridiculous feat for Brooklyn to put together a roster that loaded with stars. Plus, it's not like the 2 big men are unplayable. They can still contribute at a high level as role players. What we're getting at here is the Nets will be scary come playoff time, health permitting. This year's Brooklyn squad can also say they have the most combined All-Star appearances on a single team, 41, since the aforementioned 2010-2011 Celtics. If you recall that Boston teams were led by the Big Three, Kevin Garnett, 15-time All-Star, Paul Pierce, 10-time All-Star, and Ray Allen, 10-time All-Star, as well as Rajon Rondo, 4-time All-Star, Jermaine O'Neal, 6-time All-Star, and Shaquille O'Neal, 15-time All-Star in the final year of his career. What makes this Nets team extremely unique, however, is the fact that their 5 6+ all-time stars might actually see the floor together in a single lineup, something that Boston's 5 All-Stars never did since the 2 O'Neals played the same position. To be exact, that means we could see an Irving, Harden, Durant, Griffin, Aldridge lineup at some point this season. All players with at least 6 All-Star appearances on their resume on the floor at the same time together, something that has never happened before in NBA history. That's legitimately insane and goes to show how truly loaded the Nets are right now, while also speaking to the problems with the buyout market as presently constructed. Let's stay put and and see how this season unfolds, but no lie, this team is finger-licking good. Thank you for watching. Did you enjoy our video? On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you place the Nets as the next league champions? Well, if you enjoyed our video, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more of our amazing content. Please give us a like, share the video, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for timely updates to our latest uploads. We value your feedback. Feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments section below.